Dang, it feels good to be a gangster. Coach Kenny G getting that 300 dub. Or Justin Kirkland trying to show us up. Beating Texas. Yeah, that's always fun. That kind of makes me feel a little bit gangster. So that's what we're going to roll with today. What a good day it is. And what a great weekend of baseball and softball. And updates from the film room, baby.
You are Locked On Oklahoma State, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma State Cowboys. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Howdy, y'all, and hello, all. Welcome back to Locked On Oklahoma State, your daily stop for all things Cowboy and Cowgirl related. My name is Cody Stovall. I want to thank you kindly for stopping by to make this your first listen here on Locked On Oklahoma State. We're available on all of your podcasting platforms as well as YouTube. You can find me on Twitter at AllDayOState. All right, so it takes a little while, okay, to get the film. I'm sorry it's not an expedited process just yet, but I am very thankful for it. And now that we've had the opportunity to see a lot of these positions, both pre-pads and in pads, again, small sample size, I completely understand, but nonetheless, it is an opportunity to get a decent idea of where we stand. Now, before we threw the pads on, I was very, very, very high on Colin Clay. I still am. I do think he's going to have a very big season. And from his own words, he was a little bit nervous about this transition because he's never played the true head-up nose tackle, right? His job has never been to fully embrace the man that eats everything up. So he spent a considerable amount of time, including his time at Arkansas, working on different moves, right? Working on different ways to get the hands and the feet and the hips a little bit quicker so we can shed blocks a little bit better, so we can fill up gaps and get in holes a little bit quicker. He's been working on that for years and years and years. That's good, right? These are all things that are going to be massively beneficial to him this season, but it has been different, right? It has been something that he's had to embrace because it's not going to be the same song and dance for him. He's a very talented individual. And unfortunately, his brother seems to be a little bit more famous than him, but maybe we can try to fix that here. So I do expect Colin Clay to have a very big year. Now that we've had pads on and he's dealing with a little bit of a turf toe issue, it's given other people an opportunity to step in. And if you notice by the ticker and by my fun little intro song, somebody that's really been able to step up recently, especially in the absence, since we've thrown on pads, of a Colin Clay has definitely been Justin Kirkland. And the reason that we're going to hit this first is because I did a video, I don't know, a month ago, something to that effect, whenever we got him, right? And you cannot deny the size. I'll admit that. It's absolutely impossible to deny the size. I know words are difficult for me. I apologize. But, at 6'3", 310, everyone calls Colin Clay a pretty good-sized dude, right? You could officially say he is a big fella. Well, when Justin Kirkland walked in at 6'4", 357, Colin Clay was like, oh, there we go. There's somebody bigger. And realistically speaking, right, whenever you get somebody from a place like a Utah Tech, there is going to be questions, naturally. Now, if you go back and look at some of his highlights growing up, he was a multi-sport athlete, right? And he has a lot of the things that you look for, that Gundy looks for. And that is somebody who's able to play multitude of sports, even at that size, lettered in basketball, lettered in tennis, lettered in track and field. He was recruited by Utah, BYU, Utah State, Weber State, Southern Utah, Idaho State. So, again, not the bee's knees of everybody across the country. But he ended up at Utah Tech. And when he came to Oklahoma State, he came with that size that you can't teach. And since he's been here and he's had the body by glass system have the effectiveness and kick in, he is down a little bit. Not up, he is down a little bit. So came in at 6'4", 357. Now he's down to 6'4", 345, 346-ish range. He has been the talk of the defensive tackles since we've had more ability to see how everything's going to shake down with the pads. And I don't want to sail the ship on Colin Clay just because he's got an injury. He's not the only one with an injury. We got Dalton Cooper. He's dealing with an injury as well, but I don't think that's going to be as big of a deal because we know Caleb Etienne can do his bidding at the left tackle spot. We also know that Jake Springfield can do more than fine at the right tackle spot. And then we have multiple players that can move all around the line, including Taylor Materko. So we're gonna be okay. Or Joe Mikulski, right? We have guys that can maneuver around, which gives other guys more reps. It's kind of comparable on the defensive line. And this is the position that we've all kind of been waiting for. I just needed a little bit more film to look at. Now, another person who pops out is Iman Oates. So Iman Oates has obviously, again, good size. 6'3", 310, right around that range, coming from NEO, which is Northeastern Oklahoma A&M. There was some questions. Was he going to be able to get ready in time? Because he came in at like 6'3", 320. He's down to like 305, 306. And now we're in a different transition period. It was to shed weight, to gain muscle. Now it's to gain a little bit more muscle. So we're going to add some weight to the dude. But as it sits right now, when you pop on the film, number 99 does seem to be a problem. He's going to be somebody who figures into this mix. Now, maybe not like a Sione Asi. That may be more of a Justin Kirkland type of role, might be more of a Colin Clay type of role. But you could see Iman Oates coming in off the bench in a Sam Tuialamaka type of role, right? He's bigger than Sam Tuialamaka. And he has a little bit more of experience. Again, you go watch film. It's really hard to diagnose Oates from the film. And it's the same with Justin Kirkland. So I bring them into the fray, not just because we did a video a little while back saying that those are two guys that potentially may need some time in the system, yada, yada, yada. Well, it appears as though I was wrong, and I don't mind admitting that. Sometimes it's okay to be wrong, and I was wrong. Both of these gentlemen look like they're carving out a niche to play very, very early on. So the development prospect acronym or name tag or whatever maybe needs to be removed. Again, some of this is because of a couple of little lingering injuries that we have rocking and rolling, but it does give you a little bit of a peek behind the curtain at what the depth is going to look like, because as last season has proved all over America, it is almost physically impossible to go through the season unscathed. And then you hear this terminology before, right? And Talon Shetron's kind of working through it right now. Jaden Bray had to work through it last year, which we've already covered a little bit of the wide receiver position. Now that we've got some more film, we're seeing a little bit more. So hopefully we have time to diagnose that. But if not, it's okay. I owe you guys 2 videos today, any daggone way, so we're going to get that done. But before we hop on to some more of the defensive line, you guys know good and daggone well my favorite sponsor ever, right? In the few months I've been blessed to have this job has been Built Bar. I was excited about Built Bar and eating Built Bar before I even got this job, thanks to our partner, Josh Neighbors over at Locked On Big 12. I've been following him for quite some time. Built Bar's been part of the commercial base for quite some time. I didn't know how good it was until I actually got to try it. Cookies and cream, in my opinion, is the bee's knees. But, you know, the Built March Madness bracket, it's been around here for a little bit. And we know that everybody has their favorite Built Bar or Built Puff, and it's time to make it all count. You can still go to BuiltMarchMadness.com to vote for your favorite. I'll be voting for the cookies and cream, as I've already said. And as far as winning the whole daggone thing, my money's on San Diego State University right now. Not because the Pac-12 is coming after them. I think that is laughable. I think it's laughable that San Diego State would even consider that move, seeing as how the Pac-12 is a dead conference walking, but that's beside the point. Go there right now, and when you vote for your favorite Built Bar or Built Puff, you will be entered into a drawing where 50 lucky Locked On listeners will get a free box of Built Bars. Not only that, but one Locked On fan will get 12-month worth of subscription to Built to have the best Built Bars or Built Puffs delivered monthly straight to your door. You got to try Built Bar. Built is the best protein bar literally ever made. Seriously, they're amazing, and you will not even remember that they're good for you. And what leads us to the next point. What makes them so good? Well, I don't know. If they're high in protein, low in sugar, and covered in 100% real chocolate, that's kind of something you need to take advantage of. And again, don't miss your chance. There's still a little bit of the bracket left. Obviously not much because we're down to the final. Congratulations to LSU for winning the national title and the women's side of things, but there's still a little bit of room left here. So go to BuiltMarchMadness.com right now to vote for your favorite Built Bar or Built Puff and pick up a box while you're there. You can vote every day in March, and there's still a little time left. So hop in and support your pick right about now. Again, my fave is cookies and cream, so that's kind of who I like to go with. But you do you, boo-boo. All right, so, another interesting thing on the defensive line is when you talk about somebody that's been in the program doing things the right way, is it going to equal a lot of shine? I don't know, but A.J. Ridner, even though he is kind of matriculated down into the lower half of the 2 deep, 3 deep, I think he's somebody to keep an eye on as a developmental prospect, just like in Aden Kelley, right? We knew Aden Kelley coming into the 4-star was eventually going to be somebody that was going to be somebody that could produce, right? He was going to be a productive member of the defensive line. He just had to adjust to the size, the speed, and the different nuances technique-wise. Because let's face it, at Thomas High School in Oklahoma, yeah, he won some state titles, but he didn't have to really get himself prepared like he was going to here. So AJ is a little bit different. Coming from Jinx, Oklahoma, everybody knows Jinx is the top of the top in the state, or at least historically Jinx and Union have ran the state for quite some time. I know there's this 6A1, 6A2 crap fest that I don't agree with. I liked, when I was in high school, being able to play Jinx and Union and Muskogee and Broken Arrow and Owasso and all of them and not having to be pigeonholed in certain divisions. I don't agree with it, but it is what it is. AJ, I don't think is going to have as steep of a curve to deal with as Aden Kelley because, again, the competition's been a little bit different. Another interesting guy to keep an eye on is Jed Wagner, coming from Cassia Hall in Tulsa, Oklahoma. He's only 6'2", 300. We came in at like 290-ish. He's already up to like 307, 310, right around that weight range. Is he going to be somebody that gets a lot of playing time? No, he's not, but it's still an Okie to keep an eye on because it is an interesting dynamic. Another one is Jalen Tucker. Jalen Tucker is coming from part of that Edmond-Santa Fe pipeline that's been massively productive for us all the way dating back to Colin Oliver. He could be somebody that when he puts on 20, 30 pounds, he's going to be a factor in this equation as well, but not quite there yet. Still, obviously, rotating with scout team, third team, things of that nature. Now, here's somebody that has been in the program for a while that you're starting to see a little bit more usage out of. Now, is that usage due to talent or is it due to some of the lingering minor injuries that we have defensive tackle spot with the emergence of Iman Oates and Justin Kirkland? Who knows, right? He is in the rotational space as it sits right now. And at 6'4", 295, Xavier Ross, and this has been brought up on some of the Twitter spaces, a lot of people anticipated him being a very early contributor. And it hasn't happened. So the question is why? Well, I think a lot of it, from what I could tell, was not only the lateral quickness, but also being able to maintain your block, your assignment, your gap responsibility, and also keep your eyes upfield to find where the ball is. That seemed to be something in film that you can see. His head is down a lot, or he's looking into the chest. He's not getting disengaged from the offensive lineman very well. He allows offensive linemen to get inside his chest pretty daggone quickly, which negates some of his physicality. Now that he's had multiple years in the system, and he's been working on the same thing for a few years now, you are seeing him pop a little bit more on film. And I think part of it is because the simplicity side of things, as we've already talked about in some of these episodes, guys. The KISS method, keep it simple, stupid. That simplicity should work wonders all the way around. And I think Xavier Rice is somebody who could benefit from that. Another one that I think we've all been kind of waiting to see what we're going to get is Marcus Duckworth. Kind of like Xavier Ross. He's been developmental, but unlike Xavier Ross, he doesn't seem to have the same limitations that Xavier Ross does as far as the disengagement, re-engagement of the blocker and getting your eyes upfield. For him, it was just trying to carve out a niche because he's not the same as some of these dudes, right? Iman Oates, 6'3", 6'4". Xavier Ross, 6'3", 6'4". Justin Kirkland, 6'3", 6'4". A lot of these guys that we're talking about have almost the ideal size that you're looking for. And as we've already talked about before, Gundy for years and years and years said, we can't get 300-pounders to Oklahoma State. We can't get 300-pounders to Oklahoma State. Well, notice almost everybody I've read off to you other than Jalen is a 300-pound dude, including Marcus Duckworth. Marcus Duckworth being at 6'1", 300 pounds. Again, there's some limitations, especially when you're with an even front. But going to this odd man front, it's going to give some of these guys more opportunities to play because, again, it's much more simplistic. What we're asking them to do, what we need them to do is not the same as it has been over the previous years. So, again, I think the simplicity for the defensive tackles is going to be massive this season. From the defensive end side of things, Cody Walterscheid's always been in the fold, right? He's always been kind of that number 2, number 3 guy. Is this the season that he takes it by the reins, or is he still kind of rotating? It's hard to determine right now because right now he is still, in fact, rotating. But he's rotating with somebody like an Anthony Goodlowe. Anthony Goodlowe is the guy from Del City, Oklahoma that went to Tulsa, elevated himself to a 4-star in the transfer portal. We obviously were able to steal him from Tulsa, massively productive at Tulsa. And we just talked about somebody like Marcus Duckworth that doesn't have the traditional size. Well, he does. Standing at 6'5", 285. This is a guy who's going to be very reminiscent of Tyler Lacey 2 years ago, right? And 2 years ago, Tyler Lacey was more productive than he was this previous season. Some of that was him bouncing inside. Some of that was some of the injury bug that had hit him. But Anthony Goodlowe has been very reliable at Tulsa. He's improved his frame. He's improved his footwork. He's improved his eyes, his gap responsibilities. He's improved in such a multitude of ways. Just going back and look at a high school film, Tulsa film, and then what we see now, it gives him the ability to do a multitude of things, whether it be a stand-up defensive end, not quite, right? He's not a Colin Oliver. He's not going to be a true kind of pseudo linebacker, but he does have that ability. Whether he's going to stand up or be in a three-point stance, he's going to be a massive problem, as is Nathan Latu. I'll be 100% honest with you guys. I was a little bit afraid that he might transfer, not because his brother was at Bama or anything like that. I think it was because you see the talent. You saw the talent in the bowl game. Well, the talent showed up a lot on film, right? But last year, he was just buried. We were so deep, and we had such a good rotation going that it was hard for him to kind of carve out a niche. This season, it'll allow him to do so. The battles that he's able to have right now with Cody Walterscheid, it's fun to watch. So whether you get hung up on number 92 or you get hung up on number 96 or you get hung up on number 94, and this is probably why Gundy uses the numbers as opposed to the names, it's because on film, that's how it goes. So you see guys that pop, and you're like, well, who's that number 94? Well, how come number 94 keeps showing up? And I think that you've seen him shift from that, right? But I'm just giving a little bit of a peek behind the window as to why he doesn't know all these dudes' names. And it has been something that's been talked about. Gundy has been a little bit different with the press this season. Guys, this is a different Gundy. It just is. This is a different Gundy than the Gundy we've got over the last couple years. Is it old school Gundy? Yeah. But it's more of the CEO role Gundy that I'm hearing. He's making a concerted effort to build relationships, almost like he's decided this has to be a focal point of my job. The focal point of my job has to now be build relationships to not only get guys, but retain guys. So now it's more of a hands-off CEO role. And you're hearing some of the reports coming out about Bryan Nardo. They are true. I'll try to tag the video I made of Bryan Nardo from a month or so ago. There's a lot of reasons. I encourage you to check it out. Why I thought he was a massively beneficial hire. He was going to be a big deal. I don't typically like these quote unquote diamond in the rough hires that Gundy pulls off, right? Traditionally, I've been a advocate of not being the biggest fan of it. But I also admit when I'm wrong, and I will gladly admit in this scenario, maybe that's what it is, right? Maybe it's just a factor of, not looking at everything objectively. And I'm seeing and I'm hearing a lot of good things about Gundy. So why did we talk about the Casey Dunn wide receiver room stuff? Because I wanted it to get fixed, right? Why did we talk about some of the relationship issues that you've been hearing over the years with your Chris Carsons and Justice Hills and Chris Lacey's and Brendan Presley's? Why did we bring it up? Is it to make OSU look bad? No. Is it to make Gundy look bad? No. It's to point out that these are problems. You will never address anything unless you address the problem. And thankfully, this has been happening. This is a different Gundy inside the locker room. This is a different Gundy with the players. This is a different Gundy in the recruiting realm. This is a different Gundy as far as the CEO role seems to go. We all know that once the season kicks off and the ball gets lifted in the air for the first time and the games get close, this could change. But right now, the things that we were wanting to see out of Gundy in the offseason, it appears as though you're seeing that. He's being a little bit more forthcoming with the media. He's being more readily available for questioning. He's being more observant with how the players are, and he's not calling them by the number. He's made a concerted effort, again, to be more personal. These are the things that we were just hoping would happen. So as long as this is a continuation all the way through the season, bada boom, bada bing, bada bang, we got the Gundy that we've all been wanting. And that's all it is, guys. Speaking of, I don't want to get too far off on the tangent. Got to get back to the defensive line. Defensive end. I've been very, very, very high on DeShaun Brown since the minute we got him. When I watched his Choctaw film, ladies and gentlemen, I was like, how in God's purple earth is this dude not a very, very, very sought-after guy? Still don't know the answer, but I'm happy, right? And at 6'3", 255, he's going to be a problem. And the reason I say that is because you can see high school, whether he was in a 4 technique, 3 technique, head up, shaded, outside, inside, stand up, it didn't matter. You could not prevent him from getting to the backfield. And again, this is in a state where you do have to contend with the Muskogees and the Stillwaters and the Bixbys and the Jinxes and the Owasos. You do have to contend with that. So he put production on film, right? And last year he learned the system, bulked up, did his job, got in the film room, and you're seeing 87 pop around all over the field, which was fun because it's the tight end number traditionally, right? So when you're seeing 87 blast through people and dominating somebody in the backfield, it's a little confusing. Especially from like the bird's eye view type of film, because you got to rewind it a lot. And says, is that a tight end taking out his own dude? No, it's DeShaun Brown, ladies and gentlemen. He's going to be a big time guy in Stillwater, Oklahoma. I do firmly believe that DeShaun Brown is somebody that will make it to the next level. He will go from Stillwater to the NFL. I firmly believe that. And I think we're going to see some of that this season. Next season, he's going to be a man on the mission. So with some of that, you have, somebody like a Dylan Metcalf who's bounced around, who's been a utility guy for Oklahoma State University. He gets to focus on the defensive line side of things. Now, he's got some ground to make up. He's got a lot of weight to put on, but luckily he's only a redshirt sophomore. And because of his maneuverability all over the field and his ability to adapt at a multitude of positions, that means that he's going to do exactly what's asked of him, right? He's going to be a guy that comes in and does precisely what he's supposed to do. Martin Shear, he's going to be an integral piece to the scout team. He's going to be very beneficial, play that kind of pseudo stand-up outside linebacker when we go scout team for other players that kind of have that 3-3-5 type of system. Ryan Baker, he does a little bit of the same thing as far as the scout team, right? He's somebody that you can throw that extra jersey on, that practice rep jersey on, to give guys a good look. But we do have to talk about, I saved the maybe the best for last, maybe. Israel Hundley. I don't know if I can say the middle name right. Israel Isuman-Hundley. I may have murdered it. Who knows? But at 6'5", 260, he's been somebody that you've watched develop and I've expected a lot out of. And now you're finally seeing it. Does that mean he's coming to his own? Maybe. Does it mean he understands his responsibilities a little bit more? Maybe. Does it mean that this defense, as long as you do your responsibility, it allows you to play a lot faster? Ding, ding, ding. I think maybe that's the ticket here, ladies and gentlemen. That is the ticket here. This Bryan Nardo defense. I thought the defense, I knew the defense was going to be really good just because of the safeties and linebackers. But that's because I've had several conversations, right? And I get to have some more of these conversations, and the reports are good. So I will make sure to tag the Bryan Nardo video. It explains why I thought he was going to be a good get from more research, right? The more research I did, the better everything got. So I'll make sure to tag that video while we're in here. I know a lot of people are kind of curious about what Landon Dean's going to end up being able to do. And here's what I'll say. If we're going to go for a comp, he's going to be very comparable to a Brock Martin. And that should be exciting for everybody to hear. He is your traditional grab your lunch pail, go work on a farm from Frontenac, Kansas type of dude. And he comes in naturally at 6'5", 260, another multi-sport athlete that you know is going to put in the work. So he's a Brock Martin prototype in a tight ends number for whatever reason. I'll never understand that, but it is what it is. Yeah, he's going to take some time to develop, but when he does develop, he's going to be a Brock Martin type, which everybody in Stillwater cannot wait for another Brock Martin, me included. So it is what it is. So that's the breakdown we've got thus far on the defensive line. If you have any questions, comments, statements, you want me to break anything down, I know somebody mentioned earlier in the comments, why was Zane Flores unequivocally above where Garrett Rangel was at this point in time last year. And I was able to kind of write in the comments some of the hips, the arm, the action, the quicker release, the over the top, doesn't have to fix anything. There's no loop in the arm action as a Garrett Rangel had coming in that we needed to adjust a little bit. So it's more of an empty canvas for Coach Rattay to mess with. And let's face it, guys, he came in at 6'3", 205. Reports are he's at 6'3", 218-ish now. So Zane Flores is going to be that guy someday. But people are sleeping on my main man, Garrett Rangel. It doesn't mean that Garrett Rangel is going to get the nod this year. It looks like it's going to be Alan Bowman. It's Alan Bowman's job to lose. And my concern with Alan Bowman was when we got pads on, right, because he was already a little happy feet in the last scrimmage with just the shell pads. But not only has putting pads on allowed him to be a little bit more elusive, he's handling it well. So it does look like this is Alan Bowman's job, but it definitely looks like the Garrett Rangel, it's not a quarterback 1 and 2 situation. It appears as though we have a quarterback 1A and a 1B, which is a good thing because if everybody knows the injury bug likes to creep up and get you, especially at the quarterback position, you got to have somebody that's ready to jump in the fire immediately and handle business. And we have that. And I know people want to get on my case, like I'm too high on Gunnar Gundy, but guys, these reports will slowly start to matriculate out. Gunnar Gundy's having a really good, it's a small sample size again because he was injured, but from what we're seeing, he looks pretty good, which is amazing news because we don't have to rush the Zane Flores situation. Is he potentially going to be the guy? Yes. But why rush it if you don't have to? And we're finally in a position where we don't have to, unlike last season. When Shane Illingworth transferred and we didn't bring somebody in to immediately fill that gap, we knew that there was a good probability we were going to have to lean on Gunnar Gundy or Garrett Rangel. I think the idea was to lean more on Gunnar Gundy, but Gunnar Gundy wasn't ready yet. It is what it is. Now that Gunner's got that experience and he's healthy, he's putting on a good show, guys. He's throwing multiple touchdowns. Garrett Rangel's throwing multiple touchdowns. Elijah Collins looks really good. Yeah. Okay. So we're running out of time here. So I'll do another video on Wednesday. Things got chippy. They got ramped up. We had over 150 high school coaches on hand to watch it. We had several of the commits on hand to watch it, including some of the basketball commits that have signed their LOIs were there to watch the Wednesday practice scrimmage. And it was fun. It was just a regimented way to see how we do business at Oklahoma State as far as the football field pertains. But don't get it twisted. With that many eyeballs on, it got chippy. It got testy. And it made it a very, very, very fun watch. So I got to give a shout out real quick to Josh Holliday. If you guys watched the baseball over the weekend, it was magical. It was absolutely wonderful. Dropped the first one. And Saturday came down to the very end, got the dub. Sunday comes down to the very end, got the dub in a massive walk-off, bottom of the ninth, down by 2. It was just, it's worth the watch, even if you just watch the highlights. So hats off to Josh Holliday, taking the first place lead in the conference in baseball. Hats off to Coach Kenny G, winning number 300 as we get geared up for Wichita State. And then we restart conference play with KU and softball. So baseball, number 1 in Big 12. Softball, right there with OU for number 1 in the Big 12. It's a good time to be a Cowboy or a Cowgirl. So thank you very much for tuning in to make this your first listen. As always, I love you all. God bless. Go Pokes. I'll see you on the next one. Check out the Nardo video. Later.